tonight. Thank you. First of which is that we are recording the meeting, and it'll be shared and made available on our website after tonight's event. Beyond that, I wanted to note also that we've already sent out a written questionnaire, which Representative Isaacson has responded, and we will post that on our website as well. We covered a lot of really important topics on that questionnaire. So we have questions about prior experience, fundraising, field and votes, endorsements, your highest priorities as a legislator, school funding, fracking, housing needs, reproductive health care, and getting things done in a highly partisan General Assembly. So really covers a lot of ground, and I would encourage everybody to read those responses. So tonight we're going to try in the minutes that we have to ask a few questions about things that we didn't learn necessarily or didn't ask about specifically in the questionnaire. But before we do that, we just wanted to open by asking a first sort of general question. And we'll give you, we think with the time that we have, we've got about 4 or 5 questions. So about 2 to 3 minutes for each question, probably 3 for this first one. So our first question is, why are you running for re-election for the House of Representatives in the 175th District?
Okay, well, thank you. And I recognize I'm the opening act, so I'll be quick so we can get all of the answers in. I'm running again for re-election because I truly appreciate the great honor that you all and your neighbors have given me to serve the 175th. I've spent working for my predecessor and these past 2 terms working for you, making sure I'm out in the community, and listening to you, but also representing our shared values out in Harrisburg. And it truly is a great honor that you allow me to serve on your behalf and be your voice. And I hope that everyone, for those my new committee people in my 3 new divisions, and those that I've worked with over the years, I hope that I've been able to make you proud. We don't always agree. I have 65,000 people that I have to represent. And I like to think that I'm very pragmatic about the way I go about voting on your behalf. And I've always been open to making sure that you always have a voice with me and you're always listened to. So I hope that you will give me the opportunity to continue serving on your behalf.
Great, thank you so much. So now we'd like to ask about an issue that's really important across the Commonwealth, but especially here in Philadelphia, and that's gun violence. So if elected, again, if reelected, what steps would you take to address gun violence in Pennsylvania and in Philadelphia?
Well, I've never touched a gun in my entire life. I see that the mass destruction that takes place with regard to the automatic weapons that are out there, the ghost guns, and the proliferation of the arms that are on the streets. You know, it's not just in certain areas, it's all areas of the city, and we've all suffered from it, and it's terrorism. And I work across the state to promote our ideals in the Commonwealth with regard to how we feel in Philadelphia about gun violence and about the accessibility to guns. You know, yesterday, I'm vice chair of the policy committee, and yesterday we had a joint policy committee with the state Senate policy committee, and we had parents who came from Florida, from Marjorie Stone Douglas High School. And we talked about the things that we need to do in Pennsylvania with regard to these mass shootings in high schools. You know, my children have, unfortunately, like so many of you who have children, had to come of age in a world where they had to learn lockdowns and the terror that is the daily life when they should be able to go to school and be safe. And some of the things we discussed just yesterday was better reporting, better coordination between school districts and the authorities, and the mental health crisis that everyone is going through this pandemic, and making sure that there's better reporting and shared information. And luckily, the Attorney General's office has really taken a leadership role in these past years, and I'm completely supportive of expanding on some of the programs that have put in place so that we can make sure that we're able to avoid crises rather than parents having to respond to them. I would love to say that I could ban guns in Pennsylvania, but unfortunately, that's not the state that we are attached to. In Philadelphia, we've tried to enact our own legislation, and unfortunately, every step of the way, we've had to go to the courts and fight for our home rule ability to govern ourselves. And unfortunately, where we're able to be successful in some areas, but unfortunately, when it comes to gun control, we have not been able to do that. So we certainly need to make sure that we are supporting our local authorities, but also make sure that we have awareness and try and enact laws that are common sense, that we could perhaps get bipartisan support. There are some, such as like the red flag laws, going down the path I was talking about earlier when we talked to the parents yesterday, where people who are troubled and have troubled past shouldn't be able to have access to guns and circumvent background check systems that we have in place.
Great, thank you. Next is another important issue here in Pennsylvania, a different issue. So a core goal of the Second Ward is to support voters and get out the vote in our community. Recently, we've seen threats to voting across the country, including here in the Commonwealth. So what legislation is needed in Pennsylvania to better protect the right to vote?
Well, first, we should be happy that we elected in 2015 a Supreme Court that we have now that's predominantly served by people from the Democratic Party, because the Commonwealth Court recently overturned Act 77. They called it unconstitutional to be able to have unrestricted mail-in voting. And just 2 days ago, they issued an order moving forward with the enactment of that order when the Wolf administration appealed it to try and stay and allow mail-in voting for this year. As it stands right now, we need the Supreme Court to come in and overrule the Commonwealth Court, as this just came down 2 days ago, because if it doesn't, we are not going to even have mail-in voting this year in the primary. So first things first is we need to make sure that we are advocates, and I know that my caucus is going to be working to try and weigh in on that legal action that's going forward, but also make sure that we're all able to have a voice out there about the voting restrictions that are proliferated by the other side, not just here in the Commonwealth, but across the country. And, you know, we certainly, unfortunately, are in a situation where we're taking a step back right now, but hopefully, again, the courts will step in. But if not, we need to make sure that we are pushing legislation in Harrisburg, and I will hold Wolf's feet to the fire in his last year here, that if we need to get more legislation passed through so that we can have our mail-in voting back, but also make sure that we are properly funding our commissioners' offices in all 67 counties, because they are greatly strapped, especially during this pandemic, in their ability to fund these free and open elections, and they are under assault. And Pennsylvania is going to be ground zero this year, have no doubt. With the governor's office open and with the United States Senate seat, this Commonwealth, and especially Philadelphia, is going to be ground zero for all the shenanigans they're going to try to do to repress our vote. So myself as a committee person in the Fifth Ward, as well as your state representative, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure we're able to get out the vote. And obviously, we're going to have to see what the courts do and try and get legislation that corrects any ills that come from the Commonwealth Court decision.
Great, thank you so much. So I see that we've got just about a minute left. So maybe in 1 minute or less, do you have any final words that you'd like to share with our award?
Well, I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity. You know, 2 years ago, right before we all got locked down, we were able to meet in person, and it's unfortunate that we can't again, but it's more important that everybody's safe and everybody has the ability to participate And thank God for technology, because it certainly has changed and changed our ability to communicate with each other. And that includes my ability to communicate with you. And hopefully you follow me, and hopefully you feel that I'm accessible and that I am giving you a good voice in Harrisburg, and that you would continue to support me in doing so and give me the opportunity to serve another term. So thank you, and welcome to my new divisions and new committee people. And I'm happy to talk to you, any of you individually. Many of you know that all you have to do is call me up, and I'll come out and we'll have a cup of coffee, and we can talk personally about things that are important to you and your neighborhood. So thank you. And I'm happy I put Queen Village back together again in the map.
Great. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. All
Thank you for
right.
the opportunity.
Thank you.